What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome to another Resplendent review. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Brave Alm and I'm going to be going over the builds that you could run on him in the modern times, and at the end we'll explore what I would give to Brave Alm as a Brave remix to make him much better. So Brave Alm is a Choose Your Legends 3 winner and he's a sword infantry unit with Draco Falchion as his preferred weapon. This did get a weapon refine and it does have +3 attack, no -1 special cooldown. He does have the effective damage against the dragons and he gets the +1 movement status out of it, and for that time when he got this refine, this was incredible because we didn't really have the Emblem Sigurd ring or any kind of way of having +1 movement by yourself consistently. So back then this was really good offensively, but nowadays pretty much any kind of sword infantry unit can equip Sigurd ring and have the +1 movement and also get the Canto. And if he initiates combat or if he's not adjacent to an ally, then he gets +5 to all of his stats in the combat. As for his weapon refine, unfortunately it has got an HP threshold, which I never really liked because Sense Scale has got the recoil damage. So why would you give HP threshold to a unit who has a skill with a recoil damage? So I wish that this was something different, but basically if he's at or above 25% HP, then he's going to be getting +5 to all of his stats again, and he has got the physical sweep. So it is going to be having the speed check, but only against the physical units, and if he wins, then he's going to be able to prevent their counterattacks. So this kind of physical sweep is also going to be including the beast units and dagger units and bow units if they're going to be attacking at melee range. So this was really helpful for attacking the main Omni tanks at that time, or even the save tanks, which were not really all that fast. And even now a lot of them are not going to be as fast as Alm, but still it is going to be a bit harder for Alm to meet the speed check nowadays with this kind of weapon and the insane speed creep that we have got. And he only gets the half version of null follow-up, the offensive half, which prevents him from getting denied with his follow-up attacks, and it is going to be only against the physical foes against whom he can already get the sweep effect. His preferred slot scale Sense Scale has always been amazing when it came out, and even now, because it gives him true damage based on 25% of his attack, and this is including the AoE specials. So this makes him a really powerful AoE nuke, and before we got Emblem Sigurd and all of these units, Brave Alm used to be the premier AoE nuke because he would just get so much true damage, and a lot of times he wouldn't even need to run blazing specials. He would just run the growing specials for having more area to cover, and I would use him all the time in Aetherraid's offense. And the recoil damage of Sense Scale actually comes into the play because you can use that with the Fury Sacred Seal to fall into the Wings of Mercy range, so that was helpful for many of the Gale Force teams. So this is definitely the skill that makes Brave Alm salvageable because Draco Falchion is decent. It's not really all that insane, even though it does have +1 movement, but Sense Scale itself, giving you this kind of true damage, is still going to be helping you kill the modern threats with the right build. So now he does have base 40 attack with a super boon, and you should definitely be picking that boon and then ascending his speed asset because speed is also really important for him for meeting the speed check for his sweep effect. And when Brave Alm came out with Choose Your Legends 3, he was pretty underwhelming. He didn't really stand out much, but still Sense Scale was quite powerful and people would use it with different weapons like Ninja Katana, for example, back in those days. But after he got the weapon refine, he just became a force of nature. Amazing melee nuke in that meta, and I remember putting him in my Aetherraid's defense and he would kill like +10 Brave Hectors, who was at the time the best unit in the game. So he had a really good period, but now it is a lot more easy to emulate his playstyle as an infantry unit by simply equipping the Emblem Sigurd ring and having some true damage on you. But still, Sense Scale itself is a slotted skill, so he could try and stack up the other forms of true damage and hit hard. And there's one skill that has came out in this year that completely changes how Brave Alm plays, and it makes him a really solid unit, good enough to take out even Hathrin and a lot of modern bulky threats with a lot of flat damage reduction. So if you're gonna be revamping him and if you want to build him with the Divine Codes fodder, then this is something I would recommend. So you want to get the Ascended Said combat manual and get the Spiral 4 and Infantry Pulse 4, And with Emblem Martyring, you have a 3 cooldown AoE special, you bring it down to 2 cooldown with Infantry Pulse, and then you get some other support effect from your allies to pre-charge your AoE special. So this way you're able to loop your AoE special with Special Spiral, and the +5 damage from Spiral does get added into your AoE special as well, and Send Scale just allows you to demolish enemies with the AoE special. So I think AoE specials are pretty much the way of building him up if you want to use his strength, which is his slot A skill. So you could easily try and use this in Ether Raids. Of course, Hathran's Divine Nectar is going to be a bit more annoying, and you could even use this in Summoner Duels. I actually did use this, and I simply paired him up with Spring Sonia, and with our Harmonic button, I would pre-charge his Blazing Wind. And if you want to have more of a conventional build, then you can have Speed Defense Tempo in the slot B. So this way you're able to get the Null Guard, which makes it easy for him to trigger Glimmer on his double attack with the special charges of the Plet skill, and you also get 50% damage reduction piercing, which is really helpful nowadays, and it is something that Brave Alm lacks. And a Plet skill in slot C is easily one of his best options, because not only gives him the special charges status, which has good synergy with tempo, but it also gives you more offenses and it helps you with the speed check. So you could try and run it and also run attack speed clash as the Sacred Seal. Glimmer could be run with Emblem Cigarette Ring. I'm mainly running the Cigarette Ring here for the Canto 3. It is so nice to have Canto on a unit like Brave Alm. Unfortunately, the +1 movement does get wasted from Emblem Cigarette Ring, as Brave Alm already has that. But still, I love having the retreat option with the Canto that he provides. And if you want, you could also run him with his wife, Emblem Celica Ring, for the warping, and that could also work out. And you could just outsource like Canto 1 status nowadays, which is not that hard to do, so that is also a way of doing things. And then you could also use him with Potent. Usually Potent is amazing on any kind of unit with a lot of true damage or high damage output. Now, Brave Alm doesn't have the damage output on the levels of Resvelger, but still, it is something you could try and run. And you could run Time Pulse 4 and have No Quarter as a 2 cooldown special. So Time Pulse is going to be bringing it down to 1 cooldown, and if you pre-charge it with an ally, then you could trigger No Quarter on your first attack and on your Potent follow-up attack. And it is one of these skills that Brave Alm can use because of his speed. His speed is not that insane and not that low either, so it perfectly fits for the Potent's criteria. And he does get a bit of damage reduction out of it, so that could help him in some of the matchups. Running any kind of other damage reduction skill though, it's just not worth on Alm. He is more about the offenses and less about tanking as the usual sword infantry units go. And you could also try and run him with Assassin Strike in the slot B. So this also gives you true damage based on 20% of foe's defense, and this is going to be another form of true damage that you could try and stack up. You could even run him with Catherine or Rearm Lucina and give him the Treachery status so that he could hit even harder with all of the true damage. And you could just run No Quarter with Pledge so that you could trigger it on your second attack with the help of Emblem Martyring. And we can now run Speed Defense Tempo as the Sacred Seal. So it does help if you want to stack up the true damage with Assassin Strike. Its pre-combat damage isn't really all that good, but stacking up any kind of true damage is going to be helping Alm offensively quite a lot. And speaking of being offensive, this is going to be the peak build of Brave Alm that you could make. So at the end of this month, we're going to be having a run of Emblem Sigurd in December. So you could try and build this. Momentum 4 is by far his best slot B skill. It has amazing synergy with his +1 movement, and it gives him 20 true damage that is also added into his AoE special. And he also gets the special jumping, which makes it easier for him to immediately trigger his AoE special. So when you run him with Emblem Martyring and Time Pulse 4, you pretty much have a 2 cooldown Blazing Wind that you will immediately trigger with Momentum. And you add the true damage of Send Scale and Momentum, and he hits like a truck then. So this is by far the best thing that you could run on Alm right now. And Momentum just makes Alm into such a good unit, one of the best users of it because of his AoE playstyle. And if you already have any kind of allies that can give you the pulse charges, then you could try and run Fatal Smoke 4 that comes with Momentum 4. so that way you could reduce the healing of the enemy with their Breath of Life, or you could just run Insight or Pledge to just get the visible buffs, and you could even run Pulse Up Blades if you slowly want to charge up your AoE special, and if you want to run something else as your emblem ring, maybe, you know, Celica for the warping or Sigurd for the Canto. Like I said, Treachery is good on him from Rearm Lucina, and with an AoE build, the Treachery's true damage is going to be getting added to your AoE specials along with all of the other true damage. So he hits like an absolute monster when you combine that kind of support. Sense Scale is not as insane as many of the modern preferred skills, but still it is insanely good for its true damage, so I would still keep it. It gives Brave Alm his identity, and it also helps you a ton offensively, and it's not like there are no ways of using it productively. As you can see, you can clearly try and stack up the true damage or even use it to a good effect by using the AoE specials. I really feel like Brave remixes should happen because these are incredibly popular characters. So this is what I would do if I had to upgrade his weapon and his preferred slotty skill, Sense Scale. So Draco Falchion is going to be getting some upgrades, and it is still going to be having +3 attack and effective damage against dragons. But now at start of turn, he not only gives him +1 movement status, but also the unhindered movement status, which he would have gotten if he was released even like last year. So this allows him to easily traverse the tree tiles, so makes it a lot better to go around. And then if he initiates combat, or if the number of adjacent allies is 2 or less, I've changed this to 2 or less so that it's a bit more flexible, then he's able to get +5 to all of his stats and X in the combat. So he gets X amount of extra stats, basically +8 to all of his stats, and he gets cooldown -X jump before his first attack, including the AoE specials. Now what is X? X is going to be the number of bonus status effects active on him. And he already has 2 bonus status effects in +1 movement and unhindered movement status, so it can easily be -2 special cooldown jump, but this can go up to 3, and then he can get -3 special cooldown jump, which is insane. So I've pretty much given him a better momentum here to AoE nuke really well. I've tried to just build up of his strength, so this is going to be going up to max 3, and -3 special cooldown jump is not something that we see quite a lot nowadays. You also get -1 special cooldown with his weapon, so finally the AoE specials become 3 cooldown special, which he can immediately trigger with the special jump if you give him an extra status effect with an ally, or maybe by running some other slotsy skill. And then in the combat, I would completely remove that HP threshold condition. I would instead have the same condition as his weapon and give him another round of +5 to all of his stats. I'll still keep the physical sweep, and now he'll have full non-follow-up and full tempo effect. The full tempo effect is really good for bypassing the guard effect of the enemies and preventing them from charging up their specials or even defensive specials. So this kind of special jumping style is not only helpful for AoE nuking, but also helps you against the scowl effect of the dragons, against whom he has got the effective damage. So even though the scowl is going to be eating up one of these special jumps, he's still going to be having 2 special jumps left, and then you could just trigger any kind of other special using it. So I've tried to modernize this weapon a bit, but now we go to the upgrade of Sense Scale and the remix. So for the Brave remix, I would give Sense Scale a bit of bump to its true damage to 30%. It's not too insane, but still I wanted to increase it a bit, and now it has got the Canto 2 built in, so he doesn't need any kind of Sigurd ring. And like I said, Canto feels incredibly nice on Brave Alm, and the fact that he doesn't have it feels kind of something is missing. So I would have that, and then I would give him the 50% damage reduction piercing passively, so in the combat he's able to get it. He doesn't really need to run the tempo 4 skill anymore, and I could have made it so that he gets the full damage reduction piercing on his special triggers, but I wanted to make sure that he gets some damage reduction piercing when he finishes off the enemies after nuking them with an AoE special. Because Sense Scale already has the recall damage, I thought why not give the extra stats that are worthy enough for this kind of recall damage. So I would pretty much give him a Super Fury, so he gets +8 to all of his stats, and these are visible stats. Keep in mind that having this kind of visible attack is going to be really helpful if he decides to run any kind of AoE special, and also getting +8 defense is going to be helpful against any kind of unit that has like the visible defense checks. So these stats are something that he needs to have, and after the combat he's going to be having 8 recall damage, which I think makes a lot more sense now because it gives him so many things. So let me know what you think about my upgrade and Brave remix to his Sense Scale Plus. For the skill remix, I was just upgrade Chill Defense to Lull Speed Defense 4. We don't really see the lull skills that much, so having this is going to be helping him offensively with the speed checks, and he punishes the enemies for their bonus status effects. I want to thank all of my team members for the constant support and the patience that you guys have. Sorry for being late, but yeah, I'm going to be covering my backlog. You can click the link on the screen right now to check out my breakdown of the new weapon refines of this month, and make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as an HP check while having a recoil skill. So with that, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.